Hello, everyone. This is Noah Villaverde, host of Blank Green Canvas, back again with another episode of the podcast. And once again, I am joined by.
John Maffeo, as always.
Thank you, John, for coming in again and everything else. And before we get into our discussion of this series finale for WandaVision, I'm just going to ask, how have you been this last week and what have you been watching and whatnot?
I've been good. Just been hanging out, working, doing the same old jazz. Just celebrated my girlfriend's birthday, so there's some balloons on the wall and having fun with all that. Actually, theaters opened up in New York City this past Friday too, so I actually went and watched the movie yesterday immediately as soon as I possibly could. I saw
Nice.
Chaos Walking with Daisy Ridley and Tom Holland. It was a fine movie. It was better than I expected it to be, but being in a theater felt like being at home again in a way. Even though we had masks and stuff and it's still a pandemic out there. Safe precautions and all that. It was nice to be there.
Of course, yeah. The last time I went to go to the theater, I believe, was in September when it was still open here. I was able to go check out. They were playing Akira in 4K
That's
on the big
awesome.
screen. It was my first time watching that film, and I thought, why not watch it on the big screen for the first time?
That
That
had
was
to
an
be
incredible
something.
experience.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it was absolutely something. And that's cool. Chaos Walking had a really troubled production, as we know. For some who may be aware. So that's interesting to hear. But I'm glad that you were able to go see a movie in the theater. It's nice. Look, we have great TVs and great sound systems nowadays, but nothing beats a theater.
Nothing comes close.
No, definitely not.
Mm-hmm.
In regards to what I've watched this week, I watched Raya and the Last Dragon with some family, and I will get into my thoughts on that movie in a later video, probably
Saving
coming
it.
maybe this week. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So keeping people in suspense, obviously. I'm looking
Ooh.
forward to talking about it. Let's just say that. And overall, that's really all I've watched besides obviously the finale for WandaVision, which we will now get into discussing.
Oh
So
yeah.
after 8 weeks, John, can you believe it? Look at us, 8 weeks.
Thus, I don't believe it. No.
I
What's the
can't
Polaroid
either.
quote? Yeah.
Yeah, the hot ones
Look at
quote.
us. Look
Look
at
at
us.
us. Who would have thought? But for real
Nope.
though, after 8 weeks, we have all 9 episodes of WandaVision, the first ever Marvel Cinematic Universe show on Disney Plus. And there has been a lot of talks about this finale in particular, which is rightfully called the series finale. So all the speculation about whether or not this will get a season 2 should be put to bed now that we know exactly what this series entails and how it's just an event series. But I gotta say, it was an interesting watch, to say the least, this whole series, and I'd say this finale as well. I just want to ask, what were your thoughts on the finale in general?
In general, I enjoyed it and I was satisfied by it. I mean, after all the speculation we've had over the past month and a half or so, like I was able to put all my theories aside and just accept this for what it was, and it was really more of an emotional payoff for Wanda and Vision, and it was more self-contained than I expected it to be. And I feel like there are some things that I kind of like. I'm like, yeah, this is some typical Marvel fare, but overall, I was pretty fulfilled by how they wrapped up this story, and I still have questions for where they're gonna go with things. It's just the wild stuff that we came up with, not nearly as wild as we thought it was gonna be. But that's fine to me. It's perfectly fine. What about
Yeah,
you?
I'm right there with you. In regards to being an emotional catharsis for Wanda herself, I thought that this episode really hit it out of the park in regards to her emotional arc and her dealing obviously with her trauma of losing all her loved ones, losing her kids and losing Vision again and all that, dealing with all that. I thought in regards to all that stuff, I thought they really nailed it. I
Mm-hmm.
enjoyed the finale. I'll say that. I like the finale, but I understand why some may feel very disappointed by the finale,
Sure.
and
Yeah.
I somewhat share a little bit of it, but I'm not somebody who wants to judge something based on what I think it ought to be rather than what I think it really is,
Right.
but we'll obviously get into some of the actual details that have divided some on this finale. But I got to say though, like I found it very emotionally fulfilling for Wanda herself in terms of just being a character piece for her. I thought they really nailed it, and I can't stress it enough, man. Elizabeth Olsen is just incredible in this whole show.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
stunning in this show. Like the way she just brings all the emotions and lays them out on the table. It makes looking back on all the previous episodes and gives so much emotional context to it. You know,
Absolutely.
that's what I think the show has done so well with her as a character, with Vision, and even all the other characters that surround this show. Like all the MCU returning guests that come on that help enrich the world more. But also because of the charisma of the actors, they really nail it here, which makes you excited for like characters that were ancillary, like Randall Park, obviously as Jimmy Woo, or even Kat Dennings as Darcy.
Hmm.
Like these are like side characters from other Marvel movies, but I found them entertaining here. So like I look forward to what they continue on with the story, and obviously with what Wanda goes through next. But we'll get into those details right now. So,
Oh
uh,
yeah. Let's get into
so
it.
the finale picks up where the last episode left off after, Agatha Harkness name drops her as the Scarlet Witch, and through that, the chaos magic is eventually interrupted by the Vision, and this Vision is the same body of the original Vision we know, but obviously it's turned all white and everything else. Now Wanda is excited and emotionally like fulfilled initially, thinking, "Oh wow, Vision's back," and then of course we know, nah.
Hmm. It's about to turn on her, literally, as he tries to crush
Yes.
her head.
Oh yeah, that was interesting to see.
Hmm.
And it's interesting to see like this kind of tension and action with it in a Marvel movie or series, but set in a very small suburban town.
Yeah,
Having all that happen.
seeing
Obviously
some
we know.
explosions and a lot of chaos. Yeah, and this, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Although I get a little bit. I don't know if you remember. I got some Man of Steel vibes from
Oh yeah,
when
oh
Vision encounters
definitely.
Vision, and the explosion in the background. Like literally, this is when the Zod
This
battle in
feel
Smallville.
Oh, definitely. This definitely felt like I got a lot of those vibes, definitely. And so, yeah, we have the two visions come together as they both fight with one another, White Vision and the conditional vision that Wanda created within her own Westview world. And they have this discussion in, I believe it's the library, right? Was it the library?
Yes, yes.
Yes. And they have a philosophical discussion that only what visions could have, essentially. And interestingly enough, he grabs his head and implants all the missing memories back to the original vision's body, and then he
Hmm.
realizes who he really is. But I gotta say, one thing that kind of caught me off guard is that he just takes off and we don't hear from him again in this episode.
Yeah. So he's just picking daisies somewhere for all we know. But where would he go? Yeah,
Yeah,
like where like I don't know where he would go. Like
I think
truly.
it's kind of similar to how the new Gamora, the Gamora that happens at the end of Endgame,
Hmm.
is a different Gamora than the one we know, obviously, because this Gamora did not meet Peter yet or the rest of the Guardians. So
Right.
obviously, we'll find out later on. I'm guessing that's what's going to happen with this Vision. You know?
Yeah. Although I kind of like I don't need Vision to come back into the story unless it's good. But I have obviously they have something nice or interesting planned for him if he's just going to be wandering around.
Oh yeah, we know White Vision's out there somewhere. And I wouldn't be surprised if he somehow factors into Doctor Strange too, which we'll get into,
Maybe.
obviously. And then let's talk about probably the most divisive element of this episode real quick. I think
Which
you know where I'm
is
I'm going here. So at the end of episode 7, we see that Monica notices there's something going on in this bunker. And then all of a sudden, Pietro, or as we know, Fietro, comes in saying Snoop is going Snoop. And then everybody's like excited in one way what this might entail for this character. Obviously, there have been debates and theories about what Evan Peters' role in this show is. Like, is he like a nod to is he the same Quicksilver we know from the X-Men movies? Is he just a fun fan cast and something else? Maybe he's Mephisto, which was the common fan theory or whatever. He's got to be something more. Well, they really kind of just put a damper on all those things. I felt like this episode for some people, it was a big middle finger to them and like them all their speculating, but that's a whole other discussion that we'll get into. Obviously, it's
Hmm.
revealed as Monica is in his basement, which I got to say, this setting kind of reminded me a little bit of his own room in Days of Future Past, like having his own little
Ah,
world
yeah, I
a little
never
bit.
thought about that, but there are some parallels there.
But then Monica notices this paper on the ground, and it shows this guy's face, and his name is actually Ralph Bonner, which obviously like boner joke that they make there.
Corner. Beavis
Yeah,
and Butthead would have liked that.
exactly. It was something like that. And then obviously Monica, because of her new powers, she finds a way to pin him down. And then we never hear from him. We never hear from him again after that. It's
He's
just
just some
Ralph
stoner in
Bonner.
West Point and Westville.
Yeah, in Westview. Yeah, exactly. Like he's
Westview.
just some random stoner. Although I just realized I looked it up recently. Like remember in the first few episodes when Agnes, as we know as Agatha now, she mentioned an off-screen husband named
Yeah.
Ralph Bonner. Maybe it's just her
So
way of using him as like an assistant, So maybe I think that's who she was referring to, trying to keep the facade up,
yeah, that's
given that
yeah,
is,
definitely. Yeah.
and in regards to this element of the story, I had a feeling that Quicks not Quicksilver. I mean, this version of PH or Evan Peters was probably just going to be something else. Although I'll admit my fingers were still crossed that it would have been related to the ones that we know from the X-Men universe.
Hmm.
But I gotta say, like, I'll admit I was a little like let down with how anticlimactic the reveal was. Just a little bit. Like I'm not as like frustrated as some other fans are, which I get.
Hmm.
I get, especially since the weekly release strategy adds a lot of anticipation and speculation about what goes on.
Yeah.
I think my issue is more so how, and a lot of people have said this, it kind of feels like a repeat of Ben Kingsley in Iron Man 3, in regards to like
Hmm.
what is presented and then it turns out to be a joke. And I admit, I actually enjoyed the joke of Ben Kingsley, being just Trevor Slattery, and knowing that there's an actual Mandarin out there who we're about to meet later this year on the big
Hmm.
screen.
Right.
And it's one of those things where like I don't know if you saw some of these jokes. Some people were joking, what if in Spider-Man No Way Home, Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are in it, but they're just playing like just some random dudes in New York.
I mean,
And then
at
they were
this point,
joking about,
yeah, I could if that happened now, I would. I'm trying to set. Yeah, I could. I don't know.
I hope it's
My
not the
expectations for
case.
that movie are now different because of the ending of this
Leveled
show.
up. Yes, I do believe they'll be in it. I'll say that. I do believe they'll be in it, but like and I do think that they will be who they are. I I understand trying to be careful,
Yeah.
and and we just never hear from him again at the end of that moment of the episode. He's not mentioned. He's not in the crowd. He's probably just chilling in his basement,
Hmm. My
just
only
who
thing
he
with
is.
this whole thing is I understand where people like I'm not disappointed by it, like in
Yeah,
retrospect now, but
sure.
the way they kind of baited people, it seems like I don't know. I can understand why fans got speculative because of the week to week thing, and they knew damn well at the end of the episode that people were gonna like go like, what does this mean?
Oh,
So to
of
have it just
course,
be
of
like
course.
that, I can see why people get disappointed or mad at it. I can't fault the
Yeah,
show for doing what it does, but there is like it is kind of like ooh, it gets you like interested in the show just to not do
oh
anything with
yeah.
that character.
That's the thing with like fan theories, and we've had recent examples in recent years in regards to how sometimes people envision something in their head, and when they don't get it, they end up getting really disappointed, and they kind of use that as their opinion against the film, regardless of the film's quality in and of itself.
Yeah.
Like I guess probably the biggest example of this in recent years is The Last Jedi.
Oh yeah.
Where people set up something in their heads, and then the movie just didn't go in the ways they expected and or hoped, and and
Hmm.
it's one of those things where it's like it's fun to speculate, don't get me wrong, like
I agree. It is fun, but then
we were doing, yeah,
you have to understand that that's all it is speculation. None of this is concrete.
none of it's concrete, and it's part of the fun, don't get me wrong, speculating and fan theorizing, it's part of the fun of all these discussions, but it shouldn't be the root of what you think would make something good if it doesn't turn out exactly the way you hoped or even as good as you hoped it would be. I
Yeah.
share some of the disappointment a little bit. I'm not like incredibly bummed out. I just kind of felt like, oh, okay, like you could have done a little more with that, but who knows? Maybe Evan Peters signed on for for more in the future because you know how these Marvel deals go. Because I think like Agatha Hart, like Catherine Hahn, I don't think that's the last we'll see of her. I don't think it's the last we'll see of
No.
her.
Yeah, especially if they're diving more into Scarlet Witch's story, they'll probably there's more
Yeah,
likely of a chance that she shows back. At least, definitely, she shows back up again at one
definitely
point
she
or
shows
another.
back up.
Hmm.
Although I will admit, I kind of hope we see Evan Peters back because I like seeing him in this world.
He'll be like
It'd
that
be
Sona
fun.
character who like knows everything about the Avengers, and you'll have some expositional moments. Like he
Yeah,
might be
he'll be
like,
like the Michael Pena,
yeah, he
kind
just knows
of
everything
role.
about everybody. So like he kind of comes in as like a consultant for whatever
Yeah, I'm
reason.
curious to how all that turns out there. But then obviously, so the Vision leaves, and then more fights occur as Wanda has to deal with Agatha in the air, and then she finally gets her real suit that we see in the comics,
Hot.
albeit yes, great, like the headpiece and everything else. I got to admit, I got a kick out of the Halloween episode and the color scheme of her outfit, which is obviously a tribute to the original comic. So
Hmm.
I like more brighter. When it comes to Marvel, I like costumes to be a little more vibrant in their
Yeah,
look.
sure. Yeah.
I get it. It's trying to be more realistic looking and trying to make it not look goofy, like more muted. But I still dig the suit, and I especially love her with the headpiece. It just feels right.
It does. It
Yeah,
does. It makes a lot of sense. Well, that makes
yeah.
a lot of
So
sense. Yeah, it looks right. Feels right.
yes. So as Wanda and Agatha continue their battle, and as she finally gets her suit properly, she ends up trapping Agatha into becoming Agnes basically permanently.
Yeah, I mean,
Is be
for all we know, she can never ever go back to Agnes and let her be that way forever and ever.
absolutely absolutely. And I gotta say, like, I found it interesting that they ended the show in a way where all the Westview residents they hate her now. They hate Wanda all the way through.
This,
Like they already did, but now it's
you
like,
know that's gonna they're gonna like speak out, and like this might be a
oh
thing that
yeah,
like goes out around the like America at least, where it becomes
yeah,
like this thing like she did this, and now that's why she's isolating. Well, we'll get to that, but
yeah. We'll get to that. But yeah, so after Wanda realized it, and then Monica comes up to her and says, "Look, a lot of these people won't realize what you sacrificed." And I'll admit, part of me is like, okay, I get it. You sympathize with Wanda, but in retrospect, this is like a whole community of a town, and they were all basically under Wanda's control against their will
hmm.
and it's not a great look, and all these citizens are definitely gonna run their mouths to everybody else around the world, and it's gonna spread. So it's like, yes, I sympathize with Wanda, obviously, and in regards to her finally having to say goodbye to her kids and to Vision, I found that to be incredibly touching,
Oh yeah,
like that whole
they
sequence.
took their time with that, and they should as they should let that like brew, and yet having that moment to say goodbye to the kids one on one, and then say goodbye to Vision. Like
Oh
it
yeah, when
was. I didn't
she and
cry, but
Vision had to
like
say
a
goodbye.
very sweet moment.
It's very sweet. Yeah, I didn't cry either, but it was definitely a very heartfelt moment. And like I said, emotionally, in regards to Wanda's arc, I think this finale succeeds. I have my nitpicks, as I mentioned, in regards to how things turn out. It definitely kind of follows the typical Marvel finale formula of like people fighting, like in CGI battles, and instead of a blue portal in the sky, it's a red portal in the sky. you
They're
know,
back to portals again.
yeah,
Like it's like
like
2012 all over again.
every CGI blockbuster of the last 10 years has to have a blue portal in the sky. So it's red. It's different this
Hmm.
time, a
Different
big red beam
colors.
instead. Yeah, but like it's part of her power, so I get it. And overall, like she ends up going into exile. She exiles herself away from Westview, away from, the States basically. And the word is going to go out to everybody else in regards to what Wanda did, and I'm curious as to how the rest of her fellow Avengers are going to react to this.
Yeah. Well, that's yeah. I wonder like, well, this is probably Doctor Strange because their power sets are similar
Yeah,
ish.
as and
That's
and
probably
Agatha
why they get
mentioned,
involved.
and that's worth mentioning. Agatha mentions like as they're battling, you as the Scarlet Witch, you are more powerful than the Sorcerer Supreme.
Yeah.
And so that obviously
Really,
is going to
really,
play a
really
factor.
super quick, super quick. They noticed on the marquee of the theater when shit was going down, it said Oz the Great and the Powerful at one point, and
Oh
Sam Raimi
yeah,
directed that movie. It was
that was a
super quick, but
nice.
I was like, I saw it, I was like, oh, cool.
That's a nice nod, obviously.
Mhm.
And I know like people are thinking, oh, with Far From Home and with WandaVision now, they're just teasing us with the multiverse. Well, we'll get that. We're gonna see, guys. Like it's coming.
It's
Doctor
like,
Strange 2 is literally called the Multiverse of Madness.
yeah,
So
it's
we'll
literally in the title, so
we'll get there. And I wouldn't be surprised. So my guess is that in regards to No Way Home, I think all the stuff that happened in Westview will just probably be in the news as like Peter is looking at it and realizing, what did she do? Something's going on. And then that's how
yeah, because that took
Doctor
this
Strange.
took place before that took this blah, blah, blah. This took place before the sequel to Spider-Man.
I believe so, or maybe that it takes place adjacent to it. Maybe
Mm.
it's one of those things. That's how I see a lot of the Marvel shows coming up. I feel like Falcon and Winter Soldier and WandaVision are taking place around the same time, kind of.
Which would be a couple weeks after Endgame.
Yeah, yeah. So like as Sam and Bucky are doing their thing, Wanda is having her trouble. And it'd be
Hmm.
cool if like Sam and Bucky, it doesn't need to do this. What if Sam and Bucky look at the news and going like, "What's Wanda doing? What's going on with her?" Like I
Maybe we see something. We see like in the
yeah.
news,
And
New
then
Jersey.
there
Blah,
were
blah, blah.
yes. So there's that, and there are two post-credit scenes in this one. The first one, Monica, it's a setup for Captain Marvel 2, basically. You
Yeah,
know,
pretty much.
we see that, and it's really exciting that they're already building that up, and we're likely going to see more about the Captain Marvel area of the MCU with Miss Marvel likely later this year, which I'm looking forward
Hmm.
to. It's a fun little scene that sets it up. This is basically where Marvel's doing their typical like world building again, like setting things up for
Yeah,
the credit scene, which is always something fun to look at when you're a fan. And the very last credit scene, which is the real one that people are looking to when it comes to Doctor Strange. I wouldn't be surprised if this scene was actually directed by Sam Raimi.
you
Like
think so? I mean,
because
yeah.
I'll say this, the
Because
camera,
he
the
got
way the
like the
camera
little.
moves,
Mhm.
the cabin and everything else,
Yeah,
like
like
the way
it's
it moves
dialing
around,
in and. Hmm.
very horror like. As we know, Sam Raimi is like one of the best horror directors of all time, and the way it looks and the way it's setting up, how eerie it feels. We see Wanda is in her own hex, and you hear her kids' voices, you hear their
Well, yeah.
voices, and
So they're not exactly in a good state. So we thought we were under the
no,
impression that they just kind of like fell asleep and vanished
oh
and all
yeah,
that fun stuff. So they're trapped somewhere.
oh yeah, so a
These
lot of
poor
those
kids.
things are still out there, and man, like overall, like it's so sad that all the this pandemic stuff has happened because I'm really looking forward. I mean, obviously there are more important things in the world, but in regards to like the nerd stuff, I because Doctor Strange 2 would be coming out this year.
It was
If
supposed to be like it was supposed to be WandaVision spring 2021, and then Doctor Strange like 1 or 2
in
months
May,
later.
yeah,
Yeah.
like in May, which that would have how hyped would we have been already if we got there and then
Oh,
that.
that would
But
have been crazy.
it is what it is. They're filming Doctor Strange 2 right now. I'm pretty sure Elizabeth Olsen is already filming, and I wouldn't be
Yeah.
surprised if I think it's safe to say Tom Holland, this is probably his movie that was on his contract. It wouldn't surprise me at all. Like we'll find
Yeah,
out.
because this comes out after Spider-Man if things
Yeah,
all
and
go well.
he had two movies on his contract, a new Spider-Man movie and a new Marvel movie. And because Doctor Strange is in No Way Home, I wouldn't be surprised if that means Tom Holland will be in Multiverse of Madness,
It would make sense
but
looking at it now. Yeah.
definitely. And I gotta say, like, in regards to the whole series, what do you think overall? Like when you take all 9 episodes, John, how would you rate WandaVision overall and as a show and also in comparison as stories with the rest of the MCU movies as well?
I think I've stated it before, but I just feel like looking back at it, it's just a nice, solid companion piece for the Marvel story in general. It gives us more fleshed out moments for these two characters, these two side characters who I think were one of the weakest parts of the ensemble movies because I always liked I mean, I like Civil War and Infinity War and Endgame a lot, but I do think like Wanda and Vision, there was no proper time to really give them those emotional moments. Like even like in Infinity War, I think it
Mhm.
works well in the movie, but it could
Yeah.
have. We didn't spend enough time with those characters to really feel that, even though it was done really well in those movies. I think this does a really good job of like as somebody who's a fan of Marvel, you have more to like to back yourself off on. I also think it's just a
Yes.
really fun show for casual fans that want to take a nostalgia trip of what TV was like over the past 50, 60 years, and also getting some good Marvel fun stuff that you can watch with your family or your parents or your spouse, whoever you're watching this with. It's just a nice little it's I don't think it's comfort food. There's more there to it. There's a deeper another complaint I've had of Marvel is that there's not enough emotion, but lately they've been doing that. I think
Mhm.
this has emotional payoff, and it's a solid little piece of Marvel candy to get you warmed up for what's coming next.
Yeah, I see Marvel as the Marvel Cinematic Universe is very much a candy store of a franchise. You know, like
Sure,
there are
not a
definitely
bad
some
thing.
candy, not a bad thing. You know, it's and in regards to some movies in there feel more like bargain bin candy, which is fun in the moment, but it's kind of disposable. I'd say WandaVision is like between that and at its best, it's like the gourmet kind of candy, you know, like especially in regards to like how it really delves deep into Wanda as a character. And it's a fun ride. It's a fun ride. It's an emotional ride when it gets really great. And if people just realize that maybe, you know, Jack Schaefer and Matt Shackman, you know, Jack Schaefer, she's the creator of the show, the showrunner of the
Mhm,
show. They wanted to tell the story they wanted to tell. And I feel like in regards to Wanda herself and talking about her as a character study, I feel like they succeeded. I think people, when they come to Marvel movies these days, they want world building exclusively more than they want character development. And I think those priorities should be the other way around. And I think they did it well here. But I wouldn't be upset if they did better with the world building. And also, I really don't want them to keep doing this whole fake out joke stuff because that's another. I'm a big fan of this franchise, but one thing that I get really tired of from the franchise is the fake out stuff. You know, because it really
mhm.
annoys me with the stakes that it should have. You know, and that's what I loved about Infinity War and Endgame is that they upped the stakes significantly. And I get it for Far From Home because Mysterio is a con artist, so it makes sense why he's a liar, you
Yeah,
know. But I hope that Marvel doesn't do it as much anymore, and I'm hopeful that with what's coming up with Doctor Strange 2 and Spider-Man No Way Home, I'm looking forward to what they got. And I think Wanda is probably going to be the most exciting character coming forward in regards to what we have so far, just in terms of the emotion she has. And I have a feeling she is going to be at the center of many of the conflicts for not just Doctor Strange, but for all of the Avengers that we know. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if she's kind of a breaking point for the team when they have to because
mhm.
look, we're gonna get a new Avengers movie eventually, and I'm
Eventually.
curious to see what that's gonna look like. And I wouldn't be surprised if Wanda is at the center of the conflict there, and if they find a way to make like some because I consider her at this point she's an anti-hero now. You
Yeah.
know, she was a hero initially. I mean, she was villainous initially because of obviously Sokovia, and then she joined the Avengers as a hero, but volatile. And now through WandaVision, post everything else, I feel like she's a full blown anti hero at this point. And her dynamic with Stephen Strange is going to be something that I'm very much looking forward to.
Yeah. No, I agree.
But yeah, so man, we did it. That was WandaVision.
It's insane. It's the first
Yeah,
of
man.
many too. The
The
first of
first
many
of many
shows.
shows. We are 2 weeks away from the next show, man. How crazy is that?
We are spoiled.
We are
We are so
spoiled,
spoiled.
and March is the most busy month in regards to new content for streaming services and movies and stuff in a whole year, really.
Hmm. But on top of yeah, the movies that are coming out, and yeah, Marvel shows, and but yeah, get like yeah, it's Godzilla and Kong coming out at the end of the month.
Yeah, you have a
It's
lot
people
coming
who
out.
are.
Yeah,
Mhm,
yeah, Snyder Cut coming out. A lot of big things are coming
yeah.
out this month, and then more. You know, theaters are slowly starting to reopen. Hopefully in California soon. Obviously with the mandates that we need. You know, and I'm pretty excited for what is in store, not just from Marvel and Disney Plus, but for what other streaming services have coming up. I mean, Paramount Plus officially rebranded this week. I'm not hearing great things
Yeah.
about Sponge on the Run, but like it's new, it's more stuff, like it's more movies and TV shows to check out, and hopefully there's going to be some gems to be found in all these streaming services, although it's getting really tiring that there's so many streaming services, but what can you
Yeah,
do?
it's like how many you're gonna subscribe to, really? How much can
Yeah,
you
I
afford
did.
is what it comes
I
down
never
to.
considered Paramount Plus, but then I saw all those announcements and I'm thinking, okay, I'll wait. I'll wait for more shows to come out, like I did maybe with Apple TV Plus, hearing about Ted Lasso. But I will consider it because that announcement from them about like Avatar Studios and producing a new Avatar movie, animated, which I'm pretty sure would be like a sequel to the original series. Oh man, no. Like I have to subscribe at that point. But
Yeah, they're getting a lot of people with that for sure. It's like a big hook.
yeah. So, anyways, guys, that has been our discussion on the series finale of WandaVision, and that's been the finale of our discussion of the show in general. I can't believe 8 weeks have gone by fast. Obviously, we had to
What
kind of
is
change the
time?
format up. Yeah, what is time, man? We had to change the format up because we had situations in our lives, obviously. But I got to say, it worked out well given the way our first episode was just 2 episodes in one, and
Yeah.
given my sense of OCD, I felt like it all worked out in the end. And I got to say, John, thank you so much for being part of these discussions. And it's always a pleasure to have you on this podcast to discuss these things.
Oh, thank you for inviting me, and it's been a pleasure talking about this. I've been looking forward to it every other week or so, and this week, a week and a half, give or take. But it's always
Yes.
fun talking Marvel with you. We have a fun. We gush out, and it's the speculation is, yeah, never ending.
Yes. I look
Can't get
forward to
enough.
having more discussions with you on anything in the future, not just Marvel and everything else, but anything in general. It's always great to just talk with a friend like you and just to have you on and just to, we need more fun discussions with our friends, guys, on these things. Even in like times like this, we just need to just blow off some steam and have some fun, just talking about stuff we love.
Hmm. Absolutely.
And where can people find you?
Everybody can find me at MaffmanJones and John Maffeo on pretty much any social media platform you could find, and on YouTube.
All right, so that was John Maffeo. And once again, I am Noah Villaverde, host of Blank Green Canvas. You could find this podcast through Anchor and on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and there are other numerous podcast services that you could consume this content on. This will also be available as you may be seeing this on YouTube, a video portion of this. If you wanted to see me and John's handsome faces online discussing WandaVision, of course, you could check out YouTube. And if you're on YouTube, feel free to subscribe to Blank Green Canvas and to MaffmanJones, because also if you like our video right here, you'll help the algorithm and boost it so we continue to build a much more happy community than Westview.
Hey,
Oh,
Westview is far gone now.
far gone now. It's not a happy place now. It wasn't a happy place,
No,
honestly, but
lots of
now it's even
gossip at
more.
the water cooler in that town now.
Oh, definitely, but overall, once again, thank you so much for watching our videos and watching and listening to our podcast here. And if you wanted to see more, obviously, once again, please subscribe. You could follow Blank Green Canvas on Facebook. Just look up Blank Green Canvas. You could also follow me on Instagram and Twitter, Noah_Villaverde. And basically just expect more to come in the next few weeks because I have a lot of things that I have been developing in regards to video essays and reviews. Obviously, still trying to take care of a few things here at the house, but you can expect more content to come. And until next time, I am Noah Villaverde of the Blank Green Canvas podcast,
I am John Maffeo, aka Mothman Jones.
and we will see you very soon, perhaps soaring, flying with a nice red, white, and blue shield.
Mm,
Bye, everyone.
who could that be?
Thank you for listening, everyone.
Bye bye.